I tell everybody all the time, I'm a boring person. Since I only drink on my birthdays and I don't smoke, I was like, I ain't got no cool stories. I don't do no drugs. I only drink one day of the year. All I do is chase a little white ball around. That's my life.
Well, in honor of, well, actually, I guess this is kind of, I don't know what the word would be. It's not like insulting, but I was trying to like, all right, what do I want to drink while I'm recording this? Because I have my water, obviously, but I wanted something with taste. Like eventually you just get burnt out on water. I was like, all right, I'm talking to Colin. He's got that like Southern slang, like sweet tea sounds good. So
you put a little lemonade in it, make it an Arnold Palmer.
I know. If I had lemonade, I would, bro. But yeah, I got my Dickie's barbecue cup and my sweet tea.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Is it actually sweet though? You're in Texas, so it's got to be sweet.
Yeah,
it's gotta be nice.
To be fair, it's my like diet approved sweet tea. So there's a brand down here called Milo's. Okay. That's I think a more like Southern Central brand, and they're at like Walmarts and gas stations and stuff like that. But they're not like they're not like Arizona or something like that. And they do like. It's just like a really plain looking jug that you can see like sometimes in Walmarts, and it's like. They have an unsweet, a sweet tea, and then a no carb, no calorie sweet tea. So just artificial sweetener. And that's the one I'm drinking because I'm doing like low carb. And so, it's not like sweet tea, but it's still, it's not regular tea.
If you come to my house, the way we make sweet tea is you just basically take some sugar, put it at the bottom of a pan, then dump some boiling water over the sugar, and then drop in 2 or 3 tea bags. But there's got to be like a good thick layer of like sugar that almost looks like it's going to crystallize. It almost looks like crack when you've cooked it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You see them cubes down the bottom, you're like, that's good sugar right there, baby. That's the stuff.
That's literally what we would do back home too in Maryland. Like whenever we made sweet tea at home, like it was literally just like the big pot on the thing, way too much sugar, add in water, like start like stirring it to get it diluted as it's warming up, and then throw in the tea bags and let it do its thing, and then let it chill.
It's the good stuff. I gotta remember that you're from Maryland because there's a part of me that forgets that. I don't know why I assume you grew up in Maryland.
Yeah, so I was born in West Virginia, and then I lived there until like the summer between 2nd and 3rd grade. We moved to Maryland. And then I lived in Maryland up until I moved to Texas with Optic in 2018, I think.
What part of, it's 2 parts. What part of West Virginia were you born in? Because Andrea's family is from Gassaway, West Virginia, where we got to go past Charleston and shit.
So I was in Harper's Ferry, which is like right near Charlestown.
Yeah, we go through Charlestown once a year for the family reunion out there in West Virginia, which is a scary fucking place for me because I'm like, this is Hills Have Eyes territory.
Yeah, it's definitely like if you go into the it's not like ghetto-y, but if you go into it gets very very country's not the right word. It's like I don't know, just what you would imagine.
Have eyes. That's the only way I can describe it.
Like
brother.
banjos playing, it's
Deliverance and shit out here. Like you screw up that real nasty deep black type.
And that's the funny thing too, because I I was so young. And our house was literally like in the mountains, like so. Like Charlestown is like now it's more developed. They have like a racetrack that is very popular in gambling.
Baby.
Yeah, they got a casino. And there's still like the old downtown part, which is actually where I went to like Montessori school and like kindergarten and stuff. And you go like out of that, and then you kind of go like through these like hilly roads, and then you go across the Shenandoah River. I think it's like a bridge. And it takes you like, it literally looks like you're driving into a mountain, and you start taking these winding like 2-lane highway roads around this mountain, and eventually you start like you go up this hill that literally is like this. It's like that's how you get into like where our like community was, and then it like part of it was still dirt roads and gravel roads when I lived there. Like the pavement would just stop and it turned into dirt roads, and so like if it snowed, like you're not leaving. And our house was like on literally on the side of a hill and in the woods, and it was fun, man. I loved growing up there.
That's the good shit.
Yeah.
What part of Maryland did you move to?
I moved to Ocean City, which is like right on the eastern shore.
Yeah, so, I do softball tournaments every year in Ocean City.
Oh, okay,
I do USSSA softball tournaments in Ocean City, Churchville, and Salisbury are the 3 cities that I do tournaments in.
Yeah, so I worked at a donut shop in Ocean City. Like that was my first job. I did it for 10 years every summer, called Fractured Prune, and it's right outside of like the Northside Park where you guys probably did your softball tournaments.
Okay.
literally like one of the roads that goes out to like the main coastal highway. Like it's right, one of the shops on that road. And so we'd get softball players all the time, like, dozens of kids
that you and
or
I
adults.
probably should have run into each other prior to Gears.
More than likely we have, and we just had no idea. I mean,
It's
if you like, because I was there every day in the summer. I played sports at Northside Park, or I just go there with friends. So like I've probably seen you or run on the boardwalk.
We probably run into each other. And this is one of those like if you could, I don't know what movie it was, but where you could like see the film of the person's life.
Yeah.
If I could slow down in certain areas of the summer when I was in Churchville or Salisbury or Ocean City, it's like, oh my God, it's Nick.
and my fiance is from Salisbury. So okay. Sarah's from Salisbury, and like that was the other funny thing is I didn't meet her until 2016 through Tinder. I had never met her, but she was at a high school.
You go, Nick.
Yeah, but she was at a high school that was 25-30 minutes away and was rivals with my high school. But I had never met her before. I didn't know her, didn't know of her. So it's still funny like how so much in your own bubble you are sometimes.
Didn't Ian Malcolm say it best in Jurassic Park? Life finds a way.
Right? Literally, life finds a way. So
all right, I'll stop bothering you with all my stupidity.
No, this is cool. I actually like this because I like kind of having like a casual conversation that leads into like the start of the Ashcast. I really like that from the Joe Rogan experience where it's just like they were talking and he was like, "Oh shit, 3, 2, 1, go." Okay, yeah, keep talking. So I mean, I hit record a while ago. And I'll I'll start like the episode, when we started talking about the Maryland stuff. But so obviously episode, I don't know, I think there's 3 of the Ashcast Online with my good friend Colin TheCrow Clarke, and that wasn't even your original name.
No, I was TheCrow was a nickname from high school, but you couldn't put the T-Virus bastard on a lower third graphic. You can't have bastard on a lower third. You just can't do it. Even though it's got the A's taken out of it, people are half intelligent. They'll figure it out eventually. So it was one of those things where you either never have a lower third, or because even my Twitter handle was at the T-Virus bastard.
Yeah.
And it was like, you can't have a lower third because your real name is Colin Clarke. We can do that, but we can't do your we can't do your gamer tag. And I was like, well, it's time to do, a rebranding. And I reached out to one of the guys that used to work with me in golf that I did a lot of ambassador stuff with Titleist and Mizuno, because they were my first ever clubs. And I said, hey, man, I need to kind of do a little rebrand for esports because I can't have the bastard in my name anymore. Can you help me out? He goes, think of any other nickname you've ever had. And I was like, all right. And in baseball, they used to call me the Crow because crows were like, how in movies you always saw crows around corpses and stuff out in the, like, not the desert where those are vultures, but like you see them in like zombie movies. The crows would be pecking at the dead bodies.
Yeah, yeah.
So in baseball, I was a closer. If I was coming out to the mound, you were a dead body. I was the crow flying around the carcass of your team. I would take the mound. I'd shut you down. That'd be the end of it. So they started calling me the Crow. If you saw the Crow, it was over. It didn't even have to do with that sweet movie that Bruce Lee's son tragically passed away in.
Yeah.
But like, I guess if some people equivocated to that. Some people look at it as Sting when he did the Crow persona in WCW. No, this was just silly baseball terminology that they used for somebody that was a good closer. Like,
but it worked.
What was it? My man Mariano Rivera was the Sandman. He put you to sleep.
Yeah.
All right. The Sandman put you to bed. I was the Crow. It was the same concept, just whiter and more Virginian.
There you go. It's funny that you brought that movie up. I literally just watched that for the first time maybe like 3 months ago. I knew it was this classic movie. There's this whole list of like classic movies that I need to see. It's a cult
classic.
Yeah, and the only reason I actually watched it was because I think it's based off of Stephen King. Is that one that's a Stephen King? It might not be.
No idea. I just watched it and enjoyed it because it was like very cheesy in 90s, but it was amazing.
Yeah, it was super cheesy, but there's a band, my favorite band right now, which is a metal band, and they have a song that's literally based off that movie. Their whole album is a concept album of like old horror movies or movies that are kind of like The Crow, and so they have a whole song that's based off of The Crow. And like all the lyrics are tying to the movie. They have one that's based off the movie It. They have one based off Jaws. Like that's the theme. And so I was like, okay, like I know this song. I love this song. I could sing every word to it. I should probably know what the movie is, like, and get the references. So I'm watching this movie and I'm going, so that's what he's talking about. My God, that's so clever. Like, it never knew.
I'd be the opposite. I'd hear the song and be like, "Hey, I remember that." That's I've seen this movie enough.
Well, with some of them, like I would get that, like Friday the 13th, they have a song like that, or Jaws, or some of the ones that I've seen, but like The Crow, it was just one that was never really on my like list.
That's cool artistry though, that a band could take like movies and manipulate their lyrics and verses and stuff and make them tie into movies. That's good artistry. That's great.
Yeah,
I love when people have that ability, that insight.
yeah, it was really cool. They it's a band called Ice Nine Kills, so obviously it's from the beginning it sounds like menacing. But they did an album that was all based off classic novels of like that same kind of thing, like a lot of Stephen King novels, like Jekyll and Hyde and things like that. And then they saw success with that. So they're like, all right, well, we love horror movies and we love these cult classics and things like that. So let's do that as an album. And they started writing the songs, and like all the songs are like either like from their point of view, if they were, Freddy Krueger or whatever the case may be. And it's so cool, and it's metal music. So like, it fits and it's up my alley. Yeah. And I've seen them do it live, and they get in costumes and stuff like that. Like the guitarist wears the yellow raincoat with the little red balloon from it and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, but enough about the music. So Colin TheCrow Clarke, you are a caster and caster, desk host, analyst, jack of all trades for Gears Esports.
Whatever they ask me to do. Look, I tell them all the time. I tell our gracious the head of our little group, Rose and Blaze, I say, look, I'm a gopher, baby. You tell me to do it, I'm going for it. All right. I don't give a dang what it is. You can tell me to paint the walls while y'all talk about Gears. I'm gonna make them whatever shade you tell me to make, whether it be lavender, maroon. I'll make it a nice, calming olive green.
There you go.
Look, anytime they've said if you want a shot at it, I've been more than happy to take those opportunities. I'm not one to pass up opportunities. Just not my blood.
Yeah, that's awesome. And on like outside of Gears, you do golf?
I'm still playing tournaments, and I give golf lessons. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do, because you can probably relate to this. Something I love being able to do is watching somebody do something and break down what it is they did wrong.
Yeah.
And then break it down on like a micro level. Like I can tell from 2 or 3 golf swings. We outside bar, we went to Top Golf at E-League down in Atlanta. And I was giving everybody in our group lessons. I was giving Shady lessons. I gave Rose lessons. I was giving Blaine lessons, the guy that's one of the marketing people. I was trying to give everybody little tips here and there, but I was really working with Rose. And it's crazy because Rose has great rhythm. She has a great knowledge of like keeping her eye on the ball and swinging through it. But I loved breaking down on a very micro level. Hey, look, your swing is the main reason your swing doesn't work for you is the takeaway. It's that very beginning when you're just moving away from the ball. Mm-hmm. All this back here doesn't really matter as long as you square it up when you get back to it and you take it away square. Because if you take it away off plane, you'll get so far off plane, so on and so forth. But I love sitting out there on the range, watching people hit bucket after bucket after bucket and saying, why am I doing this? And I'm like, I know it feels uncomfortable. Give it about 100 or so swings. Let that muscle memory take over, and you'll love what you'll start seeing out there. It'll start going straighter and straighter. You won't have that big old hook, that big old slice, whatever it is you hit.
Yeah, that was always an issue of mine when I would golf, because I actually really enjoy golf, and I would do it with my dad a lot, my uncle, and we weren't like great at it, especially because like this is, I was like maybe high school age, maybe a little bit younger some of the time, so a lot of the times golf for me was, and because they didn't take it too seriously, was, whoever, we'd all start with, 10 balls in our bag, and whoever came back with the most balls still would be the winner, because that means less times you lost the ball to the water or in the woods or whatever the case may be. So, or whoever had the least broken clubs, depending on the day. But, but it was always so like, such a fun experience, like especially that satisfying, like the noise of the driver hitting the ball and the being able to follow it and watching it go straight and exactly where you wanted it to go, or pretty damn close. And it's just like, it's such a satisfying sport, but there's so many like small details that go into it that are so difficult to like master.
You talk about the frustration and possibly breaking clubs. Do you know why they named it golf, actually?
No.
All the other 4-letter words were taken. That's a corny joke for you there, baby. But no, We joke around all the time. That's why they named golf, because all the other 4-letter words were taken. I actually didn't even start playing until I was 22, 23, 22. I was graduating college the first time I ever picked up a golf club, because my dad always told me that a baseball swing would screw up my golf swing and my golf swing would screw up my baseball swing.
Yeah.
And one of those was going to pay for college. So that was the one that I was going to do. So I didn't even pick up a club until I was 22. I ruptured my LCL and my MCL in my left knee.
Good Lord.
I was in an air cast. I was going to be off my feet for 6 to 8 months. And as I started doing rehab, because my baseball career was in the drain, but it had got me through college. That's all that mattered. As that was in the drain and I was being able to put pressure on it and start walking again, my dad was like, hey, come out to the golf course and just walk around with me. Just go to the putting greens, go to the chipping greens. Don't swing any clubs, just walk.
Yeah.
So I'd walk around with him. It gave me exercise. It made me feel better. I was out in the fresh air. And he one day he put a putter in my hand and said, just hit this at the hole and just putt around for a while, because you're just going to be walking. You're not doing much. I said, all right. So I putted. About a month later, he said, all right, now just chip. Put me 5 or 6 yards off the green, and he and his buddies would be playing, and they'd all hit their normal shots. But when we'd get up close to the green, he'd drop a ball for me and say, play the hole out. Chip it onto the green, put it in. I said, all right. And as it kept progressing in that same manner, to the point where I was playing full rounds of golf with him, he came to me one day. He said, you're pretty good at this. There's an amateur tournament coming up. I'll pay for you to get into it. If you win, you just pay me back. If you lose, we'll just never do it again and never talk about it. I said, what about all the other money? Because paying you back is only like $400. In first place is like $3 or $4 grand. He said, you keep it. You don't got a job right now. You're not doing anything. I said, all right. I enter it. I win it.
Wow.
He said, all right, so here you go. And I gave him back his $450, I think it was, and I keep the rest. 4 or 5 months later, I'm still just playing with him, having fun with his friends. He comes to me again. He said, hey, there's another amateur tournament coming up in Richmond. I'll pay your entry fee. You earn enough money to pay me back. You pay me back. If you don't, we'll never talk about it again. So begins the legacy of my dad slowly coercing me to play on mini tours and becoming more of a golf professional and trying to get sponsorships and travel around the country. And I've gotten to see a lot of beautiful places. I've gotten to go and play golf in a lot of different countries, and it has afforded me some of the best opportunities in my life. But as you're going to find out, as you will find out, as I got closer to getting married and then Andrea getting pregnant, traveling around all over the world and being gone 38 out of 52 weeks of the year just isn't going to cut it.
It's tough.
So she kind of reeled me back in and said, look, you got to be at home more. You got to get a regular job. You got to be around the house. You got to be there to support me and be with your family. And I'm more than happy to do that, because now that I've got the family, I wouldn't trade them for the world. I wouldn't trade her, Ella Claire, for anything, and all the gold and tea in China. It just wouldn't happen. So I'm glad I got the opportunities that I did get. Mm-hmm. And she still, to this day, she says, look, you still got some connections. You want to go play? Go on ahead. If you want to go and play in a couple of tournaments that you've won and you get that championship invitation because I've won it previously, she said, go right ahead. It gives me a chance to have a break from you. And I'm like, all right, fine.
A little mini vacation.
So that's that awesome. Weird telltale of how I got into golf after baseball in college. But it's just, nowadays it's just giving lessons. It's a lot of just playing for fun and giving lessons.
That's awesome. I always wanted to play golf more. I mean, it's a sport that I enjoy. It's something that's like, it can be frustrating, but it's also like pretty relaxing. It's like therapeutic in a way. And I have like a lot of fond memories of just playing golf. Like, we'd go on vacation somewhere, and one of the things we wanted to do was try out like the local golf course. I think for me, one of the issues was it's like expensive. Like, it's an expensive hobby if you have it as a hobby.
That's why a lot of the courses around the country are dying. Actually, a lot of public courses have priced themselves out of a larger audience, and you've got private courses that'll survive because everybody's a member and they live in that community. But a lot of public courses are just pricing themselves out of the market, so you get less and less activity on the course, less and less income. They can't take care of it, so on and so forth. And I told Andrea, that's why, like, nowadays I thank the good Lord above that I get to play on a course whenever I want to go play, because I understand what everybody else has to go through to play. Yeah. Which is why when I got a couple of friends that come into town every now and again, and they'll come and stay with us, and I'll take them to go play golf. And I'm like, guys, it's on me, because I know you're already traveling and stuff. You just need not spend the extra money on this course to play for it. And I just wish that I wish that a lot of people at the top of the food chain in golf understood that the trickle down effect doesn't work out. If you want your game to continue to grow, you've got to price yourselves into those markets. You got to find the happy medium where you can still take care of your course, make it a nice enough course to want to have people come play on it, but not, make it impossible for, Joe Blow to bring his son out on the course because his son's going to cost $65 for a kid's rate. Like,
yeah, that's crazy. And like how much, like I don't know what all goes into maintaining a golf course. Like I know there's a lot, whether it be like taking care of the different like types of, I don't know if it's types of grass, but the different lengths, you have the rough and the fairway, the green. You have to, what is it, aerate? Is that what it's called? Where you
got to aerate the whole damn thing, man. You can't just aerate the green.
Where you have like the
messed up fairway.
Yeah, where you have that thing that like pokes holes in the ground and stuff like that. And so obviously there's maintenance and upkeep and everything, but I mean, I can't imagine like some of these golf courses, like I get some of them, the ones that are like the pristine top of the line PGA Tour courses I get, but the local golf course that's a public course, like $150 for a round of golf, like that's a lot of money.
Insanity.
Yeah, like that gives me what, 4 to 5 hours, 18 holes. I could spend $60 as an entrance fee on Six Flags and have more time and arguably
Probably
the same amount of fun. Yeah. So it's always been so surprising to me how like the entry fee seems to be so high, yet up until now I thought it just worked for people.
We always kind of called it like the gatekeeper syndrome, where it's like people for the longest time, golf started out as like an invite only, like you had to be almost royalty to play golf.
Okay.
And then they opened it up to like special guests of the royalty and special invitees, whether you were high enough in the aristocracy or whatnot. It's a very closed knit group of people that ever got to play golf over across the ocean in the UK. And as they continually opened it up and let more and more people, it was almost like those still at the top, they saw the fence post moving, but they were so afraid to let the fence post get too far out.
Yeah.
But if you keep people out of your club, eventually your club will die because it can't keep surviving on, raising the funds for people to try to get into the club.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to be incorporative. You got to go out and get new people interested in the game, especially with the general consensus on it. I mean, people look at golf on TV and they're like, man, I couldn't imagine doing this for 4 hours. I couldn't imagine watching this. I couldn't imagine going to one of these tournaments. When you actually go, it's crazy the numbers you get. One of the tournaments I go to every year with my father to this day is the Wells Fargo Championship. When you're there, there's probably 100,000 people on a golf course.
Wow.
Lining the ropes. And you're like, wow, there's more money than God out here right now.
Yeah.
Just how many people are here. But then you try to like think about it, like how many people probably play once a month? How many of these people probably play like once every 6 months because of life and price point? And you're like, this must have been like their golfing adventure for the year to pay for the tickets, to pay to get out here, to be in the hotel, to come and see these PGA superstars. And the PGA is doing a lot of good work. The first tees that they have throughout the country, like the first tee programs, making it really inexpensive for kids to get into them and teach them the game and really learn
cool.
The fundamentals of it. Those are the examples that the rest of the golfing world needs to follow, because inclusivity is a great thing to me. I think bringing people in and getting to see something you love, and you can expand that to even like gears now. Like I love showing my friends not clips of me. I don't care if I'm on it. I just want them to see one of my favorite. Actually, I was going to post it today, and it didn't cross my mind. I forgot to do it earlier because I was watching old YouTube videos. And on my favorites of my old YouTube videos is the optic team Taj that y'all posted just before Gears 4 came out, when it was still lava explosive. When it was that Core 4, and then y'all had picked up
Alex.
Oh Jesus, yeah, y'all had picked up Summons. But it was an all UE montage.
Yeah.
And I was gonna repost it. I was gonna be like, man, if you ever want to see some of the best clips in Gears history, it's like a 16-minute Hall of Fame reel.
Yeah.
And I remember showing friends of mine that never even heard of Gears that during Gears 4, and they were like, man, that looks cool. And then they played Gears 4, and they said, this game looks a little different. It feels a little different, but we like it. We like it. And I was like, see, you gotta find something to give people that nudge through the door. And I think golf is trying to learn to do that better.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've always wanted to do with our team, because our team does, it's 5 of the best players in the game. And I've always wanted to do like a team Taj. You know, shout out to Labo because that optic one from UE, he edited that whole thing. Like that was his project, but he's also not like an editor. You know what I mean? And you look at some of the amazing frag movies that come out of. I mean, and I call them frag movies because they give you the feel more of a movie. Like you're watching the story of this team in Counter-Strike or games like that, and it's you know, highlights from the tournaments, and the best ones are in like kind of like an order of, you know, like the oldest to the newest clips, and you know, you've got the clips of just them going off in a ranked match or something, and then you've got the clip following that of them going off in a tournament with the casters and the crowd noise in the background. And I feel like it would be so cool to do a genuine Gears of War frag movie for a top level team. And I you know, I've seen team montages, like Ghost did one not long ago by a dude named Kapu. I might be saying that wrong. That was like really well edited, a lot of cool cinematics and special effects, but it wasn't like it just wasn't the same feel I've seen as, you know, watching like the old NV Counter-Strike frag movie, where it's just like every clip is like holy shit, and the hype of the crowd and the background noise of the clips and the casters going, my God, he's so good. Like, you know, whatever it is, like it's just so captivating. Like I know fuck all about CS, but I could sit there and watch it and just be in love with that video and watch every minute of it, because it's so well put together, and I feel like I'm watching a story unfold, even if it's just game clips. You know what I mean? I'd love to see something like that for Gears.
People take for granted how actually euphoric or euphoria inducing watching somebody at the highest level and then having somebody else interpret that through the lens of cinematography.
Yeah.
Like, I've never, and shouts out to our two photographers, Just Snipes and Joe Brady. The two of them, some of the pictures they get, like a picture's worth 1,000 words. Some of the pictures that they get on circuit, it's worth 1,000,000 words. I love to go back and look through all the smug buckets of them and stuff like that, because I'm floored by how, and it's like you said with those frag movies, how somebody can take already highest level gameplay, action, whatever it is, and then put it through this kind of focus lens of, all right, now let's tell the story of how this got here. Let's get this climactic, overwhelming, like champions victorious feeling, and put that into what seemingly comes down to just a montage. And everybody, you know, you've always heard like, oh, that's a montage clip. That's a montage clip. You ain't seen montage clips until you go out there and you fall into the rabbit hole of YouTube and see some montage clips.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's like it's so easily regarded as an art form, whether it be videography or video editing or photography. Like it's truly an art form, because they capture the people who are good, like you said, Just Snipes and Joe Brady and some of the editors out there. They capture emotion, whether it be with a still image or a video of a video game. You know what I mean? Like they somehow capture you, and they get you emotionally invested in that image, in that video. And I think that's where the art is. I think that connection, being able to build that connection, it's fascinating.
I seriously cannot, and I'm illiterate when it comes to that stuff. Like, if you put a camera in my hands, it would look like somebody at the, like, getting the toy camera out of a Happy Meal at McDonald's trying to take pictures. So I think that's also why I'm in such an awe of people that can do all that and get all that done. I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. I actually had a good chat with him. I think it was in San Diego last year. Y'all had one of the cinematographers, not this past one, but previous. Y'all had one of the videographer, Rogers.
Yeah, Roger.
I was talking to him for like an hour, and I was like drool was coming out of the side of my mouth. I was like, how are you this good, man? How do you do this?
I know. There's just people who just have it. I think it's like one of those things where, like, there's people in golf, there's people in gaming who just have that ability. There are people for photography and for videography who just have that eye, that ability to be able to, like, I see this and this is what I'm feeling, and I know how to get that into this camera and then into your eye and feel the same thing that I'm feeling. And it's
almost like they're playing translator.
Literally.
Like they're seeing one language and they just have to they're figuring out how to translate it into our language so that we get that same feeling.
Yeah. And you know, outside of videography, I think editors can do the same thing. You know, there's a lot of people, I've gotten flack for this before, but I've called out a lot of people who post Gears montages. Like, I'm all for posting Gears content and any kind of content. But there's people who like, throw 20 of their best pub clips together over a song. It's not synced up. There's no effects or anything. And they're like, yep, this is montage number 8 from Free For All. And it's like, well, I'm glad you uploaded some highlights. That's a great highlight video. But like, to me, a montage is more than that. It's not something that you slap together in 30 minutes. There's special effects in it, and there's that story, like the Frag movies, and there's, if you're gonna put in music, then synchronize with the music. Like, I don't have the head pop like of your 6 headshot be like off beat to the music. Take the time to sync them up. Like things like little details like that is what gets you, or at least gets me invested in one of those videos.
It's attention to detail, man. If you can't have a good movie without attention to detail.
Literally. And
because if the proof is in the pudding. If you don't have good details, somebody's gonna call you out on it. You can't bake a souffle and let it fall. You got to have that souffle nice and rising. You got to pay attention to the details of how to make it and bake it and make it so delicious and beautiful that nobody could deny your ability as a cook.
Yeah, and there's only like, if you really want to capture somebody's attention, you're like, 20 clips that are all like kind of similar and in the same situation. Like that's hard.
Is this why you started the Impress Me thing?
Kind of.
Your feelings on montaging, is that why you started the Impress Me videos?
In a way it is. Honestly, what started that is I was watching on YouTube. I got into one of those YouTube rabbit holes, and I was watching do you know Penn and Teller, the magicians?
Yeah.
So they have a show called Fooled Us. Okay. And basically what they do is they bring on other magicians, not like, super well-known ones, but other magicians, and they come onto this show and they're given 5 minutes to perform a trick. And the trick is supposed to fool Penn and Teller. Like, Penn and Teller can't figure out how they did that trick. And if they manage to do that, then they get a little trophy. And then the prize is they get to come back at some point and be part of one of Penn and Teller's shows. So cool. I was in this rabbit hole of watching these amateur magicians do these tricks and like fool Penn and Teller, because you can watch. Was there
anyone that blew your mind? Was there any magician you were like, I can't white? How?
Oh, there's one. There's one guy, and he was on America's Got Talent, I think, and then he was also on Fooled Us. His name is Shin Lim, and you should, anybody watching
the guy
this,
that has the card with the smoke.
Yes,
where he can make it smoke. I've seen him. I've seen that video from America's Got Talent.
Oh my
I've seen the Penn and Teller.
God, he's so good. Watching the things that he's done, I'm just like
please, just a little bit.
Yeah, literally. Can I just have like a fraction of that like talent to just like, I don't know, be able to impress people? But so that's where the idea came from, is, like their whole thing is like, you fool these two experts. So, I look at myself as like, I watch the best players in the game play each other all the time, 4 to 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. So it's hard to impress me with a casual Gears clip. So community, send me your best clips, see if you can impress me. See, and I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to nitpick, and I'm going to call out, like, I turned down one because they were using or not Equifox, reciprocity skins. And I was like, yep, you lost me there. And then like, obviously that was more of a joke, but I'd be like, okay, well, this guy was standing still, you shot this guy in the back, you missed your active, so you only had 3 bullets instead of 6. Really impressive is you would have been bouncing and got a perfect active. Like, I'll nitpick every little detail, and if you impress me, then you get a thumbs up if I'm impressed. But
see, what I need to find, there's a clip from my stream that, because it's not a clip that I did. I was dead and out of the round, but I was gonna say, I'll send it to you so you can be like, that's the kind of play that does impress me, because it's a clip from one of the guys I was playing with one night, where he and another teammate are in a fight, and I was like, you don't have time to help and fight. Like, you either have to just try to run past the 3 people that are guarding the home hill and get a break for us to be able to win the round, or we're just gonna lose the round. It's too late. And he literally just like commando sneaks his way past 3 people and gets the break, and we win the round. And I was like, that's the kind of teammate I want. He didn't care about his kill stats. He didn't care about the fanciness. He literally just head down, bounce into the hill, and then sat there and just tried to, like, I don't want to die.
Well, one of the clips that always comes to mind that impresses me the most was one that Billy did in Gears of War 4, and you might remember it. It was on Dam, and it was against, I don't know, I think they were Echo Fox at the time, but whatever, one of Franchise's teams. and it was on dam. It was near the B hill, and Billy was in like a 1v3 kind of situation. He was on like one of those far, like out wide covers, like close to where the weapons picked up.
Back covers. The two back covers.
So he was on that, and he was getting pushed. And I think, if I remember correctly, he got like a shotgun kill, but got full redded, outstrafed someone and got another shotgun kill, and then switched to a frag grenade and threw it at his feet as somebody else like up-aid the cover to come at him. And he hopped over the cover and rolled away, and the frag grenade blew up where the kid up-aid into, where Billy had been standing, and it got that kill. And I think it was 3 people. It was either 2 or 3 people, but like the whole thing was so quick, and I'm just like the mental fortitude, no pun intended, of just being
pun intended. No, don't let him lie to you, people. That was intended.
But like being able to be like, oh shit, switch my frag grenade, throw it at my feet, hop over the cover so it doesn't kill me, and it got hit. Like, who thinks of that in a tournament? Who thinks of that on LAN with bright lights shining on you? Who goes, I'm gonna switch away from my shotgun in a shotgun fight, throw a grenade at my feet, and hop over? Nobody thinks of that.
If you're lucky that I'm not mental, because if I had done that, even for 250 grand or whatever the tournament was worth, I just walked off. I'd have been like, see you later, I retire, going out on top.
Yeah, fuck it, I peaked, that's it. Good luck, guys. Thank you.
I'd adapt everybody up though first. I'd have at least given everybody their due dap and then walk up. I'd have broke out.
Go thank the other team for being part of that.
I appreciate you. I hope that forever lives in both your psyche and your hearts.
I hope every time
you got retired.
Yeah, literally every time you see the word mental, I want you to think about how you died to a grenade that I threw at my own feet. Like,
I hope you don't become a psychology major, because you're gonna see that word a lot, baby. You might as well run away from that profession.
Oh man. But so that clip is always in my mind whenever I'm watching these. I'm like, is it going to be on the same level as that? And there's been some really good clips that I've gotten, but overall, I try to be like the Simon Cowell personality.
When I first watched the first episode, I really was waiting for you to just Simon Cowell everybody and be like, no, this isn't it, and then just move on to the next clip.
Like absolutely horrendous.
That's right. You're gonna have to wear a V-neck white tee though too, baby. If you're gonna be Simon Cowell, you gotta wear a V-neck white tee.
I could do the V-neck, but I don't know if I could do it in white. I'm too fat for white right now. I'll stick to black shirts. So anyways, talking about Gears, you have pretty much one of the most diehard passions for Gears that I've seen in a long time. I mean, you cut your wedding cake, right, with a Lancer?
I did. I cut my wedding cake with a PDP replica Gears 5 Lancer.
Nobody does
my wife
that.
Cut it. I didn't cut it. He did. She did. She did.
Nobody does that. So tell me about your starting Gears. Tell me about how this passion came to be.
So the way it started sounds really horrible, and I apologize to everybody that thinks, I pre-ordered Gears 1 and I was ready for this game to come out. Didn't happen like that at all. Gears 1 released, and I knew about it, but I didn't buy it because it just didn't seem like my cup of tea. At the time, I was playing GBs and playing in local tournaments for Halo with my best childhood friend, Bobby. He and I played Halo like it was going out of style.
How old were you at the time?
2006. I graduated high school in 2007. I was 18, so I was like 16 or 17.
Okay.
Playing in GBs, playing in locals and stuff like that, playing in states. And Bobby and I, we always played Halo. And then some of our friends from high school invited us to a LAN party, like at a church, where they had they rented out the basement for the night. We were all going to spend the night. It was like a weird, we're becoming adults and we're never going to do this again. Have you ever heard that old saying, that really sad saying, where it's like, you ever figure out that one day you told your friends you're going to hang out the next day and you just never did?
Yeah.
Because you became adults.
Yeah.
That's kind of what this felt like, where all of us were juniors going into seniors. Some of us were seniors graduating and going off to college. We rented out this church basement that was huge and set up 10 original big hunking black Xboxes, those massive ones with the giant controllers that you almost your hands felt like they were a mile apart.
Yeah.
Set 10 of those up, had a modem or had a router that we could do a LAN in 5v5. We had 10 of them we had 8. We had 8 of them set up, modem and router, put everything together. And we started off playing Halo. And when we played 4v4 Halo, Bobby and I had to be on opposite teams, and we literally only fought each other because everybody else was just dying.
Yeah.
And then we started trying to make it interesting, where we were like, all right, the 2 of us will fight the 6 of you. And after 2 games of us winning 2v6, like really flawlessly, like terribly,
Yeah.
they were like, all right, you're going to play us in our game now. We play that stupid Halo game. We play this game called Gears of War. And we were like, what? What game is that? And we get on and we start playing. And I'm talking to my buddy Bobby. I'm like, how do they enjoy this movement system? It's so slow.
It's so slow. It's so clunky. Yeah.
It's the stupidest system anybody could have ever thought of in the history of existence. And then I'm getting chainsawed. And Bobby and I were, as Halo kids, we always used to try to find like the secrets in maps, the little ledges that you could walk around the outside of the map and any glitches in the maps, because we played it for 8 to 10 hours a day. Like we'd come home from high school and that's all we'd do in the off seasons. So all of a sudden he and I start experimenting with this Gears of War game.
Yeah.
And we figured out that you could glitch people with the chainsaw and the roadie run in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Where like if you could rev the chainsaw, and I think it was like you could not up A, but you could like almost bounce off the cover. You could roadie run off the chainsaw, and if you just ran into somebody like a boulder, they'd just explode.
Yeah, that's what got me into Gears. That same glitch.
And so we started doing that, and then they were like, all right, you can't do that anymore because that's just stupid. So we're like, all right, we'll try to figure out how to actually play the game out. And so we start playing with the regular shotguns, and Bobby and I are struggling, and I mean, it was like the most horrendous experience of video gaming I've ever had in my life. I hated that game. I hated that night. I never wanted to remember it. And the next day I went to Walmart and bought Gears of War 1 because I said, you know what? I'm not going to lose to those kids. I will never, ever lose those kids ever again. It doesn't matter if it's my game. It doesn't matter if it's their game. And Bobby comes over and I said, all right, let's try to learn the mechanics. So we'll play the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we're playing through the story, we're playing through the campaign, and I'm playing as Marcus, he plays as Dom because he was second player, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I remember at the end of it, I looked at him and I said, damn, I really liked that story. That was a really good story. And I was very superficial as a kid. Like, if it didn't have to do with sports or like Halo at the time, because it was really the only game I played, because Rainbow Six had kind of died out after Rainbow Six 3 and Black Arrow and Raven Shield Lockdown had gone through, and Unreal Championship had gone away. Loved that game too.
Loved Unreal
Championship, the triple rockets.
Yeah.
Game over. Anyway, I was like, damn, that really touched me. Like, I love that story of camaraderie and brothers and people looking out for each other and being part of a squad. We learned the multiplayer of that. Bobby still hates it. So he's not going to play the multiplayer.
Mm.
I start playing online. I'm getting just utterly beat down. Like, I'm getting backhanded. Like, I owed my pimp $500. Like, it was the worst feelings I've ever experienced in my life. But I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'll just keep playing. I didn't have any friends in Gears, really. I didn't have anybody that I played with night in and night out. I just got into lobbies and just shot my gun just to see what would happen. And Gears 2 came out. I bought it. I convinced Bobby to play the story with me. I said, look, you're my Dom. I can't play the story with anybody else. You got to be my Dom. Play the story of that. And he's like, you really get into this game, don't you? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll be all right, though. I'm not going to make you play Gears 2 multiplayer with me. Well, that was a lie. So he and I start playing Gears 2 multiplayer. And he's still getting worked. And he hates it. So he quits Gears 2 multiplayer. And I'm still getting worked. But like, I'm winning like 1 out of every 5 or 6 fights, it feels like. Mm-hmm. But every time I want to fight, like, I put a blue ribbon around my neck. I was like, I am the champion pig of this game, baby. I was like 1-9 in team deathmatch. I felt like the king. And but so I go out and I'm like, you know what? I really am invested into this game. Is there anything that I could buy that makes me feel like I'm more a part of the game? Well, at my mom's house to this day, I have the replica gold hammer burst that came out with Gears 2.
I remember that. Because
I went out and I bought the special edition of it. I bought a second copy of the game. I gave Bobby my disc copy and I saved my special edition. I went out and bought the COG tags that came with Gears 2. I went out looking for the books that they started writing. Mm-hmm. I wanted everything to do with the story because I sucked at this multiplayer. Screw it. I played Horde and I played the campaign over and over and over again to try to find new collectibles, to try to find new nuances, the characters and the story, so on and so forth. And I go off to college. I'm in my sophomore year of college, or third semester.
Yeah.
And Gears 3 comes out. And I will never forget, like, my buddy Bobby's at a different part of he's in a different part of the state. We're playing the campaign online, and it'll be one of my favorite moments and one of my like most like what's the word I'm looking for? Emasculating moments ever. when spoiler alert, when Dom sacrifices himself for Marcus and the rest of the team, where he drives the oil truck straight into the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Bobby and I, nobody says a word. You just like literally, you can hear the click from the old school microphones where we both just clicked our microphones off or just unplugged our mic. One way or the other. We weren't going to talk. It was like maybe an hour later into the campaign where we're just playing, where he plugs his mic back in. He's like, I hate that they had to make me Jace. I was like, I'm so sorry. He's like, they could have picked any other character in this story and I'd have probably been less like weepy. I was like, I'm still weepy. I was like, I can't believe my mans did that. Like, they really were brothers for life. And I bought the special edition for Gears 3, so I had the statue of Mark. Like, I went out and bought the retro Lancer for Gears 3. I got the replica retro Lancer at the house. I have two replica Lancers. I got the red one that's actually behind me. Oh, I don't think you can see it.
Yep, there it is.
There it is, over in that corner. I got that one, and I've got the original one that came with 4, the customized one with the stock.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Hammerburst. I've got the retro. I got the cog tags. I have every book they've come out with, every comic. I'm deep into the extended universe. I love all of the lore for it. That's why I try to make like I try to pull things when I'm casting. Sometimes I'll say something that tries to pull the nerdy lore horde side of myself into the esport.
That's
because
cool.
One of the things that I hate is I hate how divided our community gets, where it's like our pro community, whether I don't think it's that nobody doesn't like anybody else. I honestly think it's all miscommunication. People think that the pros are entitled, and then the pros are like, well, you don't know how hard we work at this. And it's like, well, you don't know how hard we work at trying to be number 1 on the horde leaderboard for Gears 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just this weird rift that happens. And I think it happens in a lot of games. But like, if I can bring those two closer together in any way, shape, or form, I try my damnedest. But I've always played the campaigns. I've loved everything lore side. Played the Horde for, God, I don't even want to think of how many hours of Horde I've played. I loved Escape. I love the Team Scorpio Escape kit, like Escape Gang. Mm-hmm. I love that game mode in Gears 5. I finally got like okay at Gears multiplayer in 3, but I think it also came with the sped up movement. The only time I've been good at games with slower movement was Rainbow. Like playing Rainbow Six, the slower methodical movement in that, I was pretty good with. When it came to Gears 3, I think the stopping power is what made me good, because I was always the kid that wanted to be the support player.
Yeah.
I was never good at close range Nasher battles, so I always had my Lancer out, or I try to have my Lancer out. Like I always joke around with a buddy of mine, Viper, who I play Gears 5 with nowadays. I tell him, I'm like, dude, I think I have my Lancer out more than my shotgun. He's like, I think if you watched your own footage, you probably do. Like I only try to get my shotgun out if it's do or die. Like, oh shit, I finally have to get into this fight.
Yeah.
But no, I got to a point where I'm happy. I know I'm never going to be able to compete on Gears, but that was never the end goal. It was to not lose to my buddies, which I stopped doing. Like I was better than they were at some point, so that was cool. But then I fell in love with the characters and the story, and I've never looked back. I've always wanted to just immerse myself in the world of Sarah and everything it ever had to offer.
So every book, you've read every book,
I need to take a screenshot of it, or I could just turn my webcam, but like it's a small sample size. But like every Gears, the retrospective, all the omnibuses, the 5 novels.
Wow.
I've got the comic books are the first comic books I bought. I had to buy secondary copies because I read the comics too much and I ended up ruining some of the pages.
So you were this is more than I even expected. Like, you were actually like invested into this universe.
And then also all the pop figures and crap.
Of course, yeah.
But no, I love. Oh, and right above on my desktop light, there's my cog tag. My cog tag with my dog tag, because in college I did ROTC.
Okay.
And when I got out, because I didn't enlist, I graduated.
Yeah.
I put one of my dog tags with my cog tag because I was like, if I die, I told my wife, I told Andrew, I said, you got to bury me with that. And she was like, why? And I was like, because, there's a part of me that always wanted to be in the military. And then I found a love and an appreciation for the military and the brotherhood that came with it in my real life experience and with my Gears experience. But I have a cog tag. I said, and till the day I die, I'm going to be a Gear. So there it is. It's going to happen.
That's so awesome.
That hangs right above all my weird, janky ghetto setup.
I always am envious of people who are able to get so heavily invested into the stories of games, because it's something that I've always, at least ever since I got like a taste of playing online, like Xbox Live, it's been something that I've struggled with. My personal story for Gears is I hated Gears 1. My friend had it and would force me to play it all the time whenever I went over to his house because he needed help.
You were Bobby.
Yeah, I was the Dom. Yeah, I was Dom. And I helped him beat General Ram, or Rom, or however you pronounce it.
It's you know what, tomato. I don't care what anybody says.
And from there, he started forcing me to play multiplayer because he didn't want to play anything else. And we started playing multiplayer, and I hated it. And then I learned about the Roadie Run chainsaw glitch, literally that same glitch. And I was like, okay, this is fun. This is funny. This is fun. I like this. I'm gonna go buy a copy, and I'm gonna do this. And so that's what I did. That's what got me started. Was I was glitching in multiplayer, and that got me kind of invested into it. So then I started playing it more and learning the actual game. And then my friend Karil's, he was a former pro in Gears. He taught me a lot of like the basics of competing and helped introduce me. He was my first teammate when I started actually competing on GB. So that's like what really got me started into Gears. But before that, I hated it. And the only game that I can sit down even now and play the story of without getting bored is Halo, because I'm so invested into the universe. I've read all the books. I've watched all the, the extra stuff that, the video series and things. A lot of the YouTube videos that I would watch back in the day were, Red versus Blue, or they were this
Those
group.
Were hilarious.
Oh, it's amazing.
Best videos ever.
Or is this group that would do like all like it was like group of 4 of them that would do all like the glitches and Easter eggs and things like that. And I was obsessed. And then obviously the story itself, I like I said, read all the books and stuff. But Gears, I've only played the campaign of Gears 1. It's
God
bad.
Bless your soul.
It's
God
bad.
Bless your soul. It's no, but I don't fault anybody, because it's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm very much the type of person that I want people to just enjoy what they enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would never try to force anybody. Looking back, like after my mistake with Bobby, like after Gears 2, I stopped trying to force Bobby to play Gears. He voluntarily played the campaigns because he knew how much I loved them. So I was like super hyped that he kept making the time for that, especially because we were in different parts of the state. We were in different parts of our lives at that point. But It was weird that we always came back together for it. And I've just every campaign has had its highlights and its lowlights. But I would never force anybody to play the campaigns. Like if somebody came to me and said, hey, you want to play the campaign with me? I'd be like, yeah, I'll see how you like it. I'll play through the whole damn thing with you. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And if you ask me any questions about why this is or what this is, I'll take the time to try my best to explain my interpretation of what's been given to me for reference. But outside of that, it's I just want people to enjoy stuff. Stop trying to force other people to enjoy things they may or may not enjoy. I just want people to enjoy shit. Just be happy.
Yeah.
Life's too short for you not to enjoy stuff.
Literally, I think that's something that a lot of people forget about, is life being too short to worry about stuff that they're not going to enjoy.
I forgot a book. I'm trying to see if I can find it off top. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's a book that's actually down to the left of me because it was something I was going to do for YouTube. You know him, Waldo.
Mm-hmm.
Waldo, as a wedding gift, it was one of the only special editions I didn't get. I say special editions. It was only one of the collector's items I never got, was the Kilo Squad book from Gears Judgment. And It's the actual journal of Damon Baird that catalogs all the history and references a bunch of stuff in Gears Judgment, and also tells a lot of little side facts. Like Baird's goggles, he doesn't have those because he's the engineer of the group. He has them because he technically stole them from an officer's research and development department. He wasn't even supposed to be there. He was a private. He snuck into the R&D department, put some goggles on, forgot to take them off when he left, or snuck back out, And when somebody was going to go rad on him, he hit him with a shock gauntlet that he had built, like a gauntlet that had an electrical pulse in it.
Yeah.
Hit him with the shock gauntlet, and then just never returned the goggles, kept them for the rest of the time. Like, it's one of the stupidest little details in the world, but when I read it, I was like, I feel so much better, because part of my like longing is like, I just wanted to know what the hell was the point of the goggles, and why do you only put them on as Mechanic Baird? Like, why do you just always shove them up here? I wish he had a character design actually where the goggles are around his neck, because that's how he gets caught by the other soldier that's like going to turn him in.
He has them around his neck.
He doesn't have them up here. He has them like down here. Like, he kept lifting him up to do some soldering or whatever, and then he left them around his neck when he had to break out.
All right, TC.
Can't find it right now.
TC, if you're watching this, there's a skin idea. Goggles around the neck, Baird.
It's never gonna happen. None of my ideas are good enough to market to anybody. People want classic Baird. That's what people want. It's what it seems like people want. Like, I know a lot of people hated that he went bald and like is old now, but I kept trying to tell people, I was like, dude, you try marrying Samantha Byrne and then making an entire army of robots, and you see how bald you go.
He looks like Goldberg now.
Yo, but that's cool to me, because he's like, I expect, like, now, like, Baird used to be the try-hard character, but now these Goldberg, if you're like one of the good players and you're the try-hard character, the fight should be as quick as a WCW 1996 Goldberg fight. It should just be a spear, jackhammer, and move on with your life. Like,
literally,
boom. That's what it should be. So, but that's, you know, the nerdy side of me trying to find the positive in why Baird's bald. Like, I used to joke. When I first saw, I'm not even kidding you. When I first saw bald Baird, I know a lot of people got upset about it, but then like, I had read the reference material. Like, I knew that he had like married Sam, like him and Sam Byrne, the Australian chick, or if you want to say Australian, she's got an Australian real life accent. But they get married, and he's like the richest person on the planet now because he's the one that builds all the robots. But he's stressed out because he's having to build robots for the government, and he's been married for a decade now. And he makes a joke in one of the books. He's like, war was easier than marriage. And I was like, bruh, don't say that, bruh. I'm only like a year deep into this. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm just engaged, so it doesn't bode well for me then.
Yeah, I'm sorry to put that damper on. Don't look, Sarah just skipped the past couple of minutes.
That's okay. I'm excited for that, and I mean, that's another thing that people probably don't realize. You're gonna be there. You're gonna be helping make it a memorable day.
I hope to make it memorable.
We're both looking forward to it.
I hope to not make it memorable in a bad way.
Here's what we need to do. We need you to come out like a few days early, and then you and I go golf for me to blow off steam. Since I haven't golfed in years, and I'll suck, and you'll get a good laugh at me sucking, and then we'll have the wedding a couple days later. That's
the plan anyway, because I got to make sure that I one of the weird details of my wedding that I didn't know. I've never been married before. Go figure. My officiant, when we did the ceremony, when they were like, all right, so like groomsmen and bridesmaids all walk together and stuff, like we all kind of know that generically from a million movies that we've seen.
Yeah.
But when the groom walks down, he actually walks down, or in my wedding, and they were like, yeah, this is generically like a regular Christian ceremony goes, is like the groomsman walks with the officiant. And I looked at our officiant, who's a neighbor of my wife's family, and I looked at him and I was like, so like we walk down together. I was like, do we go hand in hand like the bridesmaids? And they're like, you don't have to. And I was like, Toby, you seem like you're pretty comfortable in your sexuality. You want to go hand in hand? But it was so weird to like learn all these little details, which is some insane. Of the things that I'm trying to. I've got to hammer out in my own head, and I'll probably have like a mini script inside of a book. Like, all right, good. We should be here, and we made it, guys. We did all the stuff. We did the things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but and I'm lucky because Sarah is very much she loves planning and organizing and doing that part, even if the wedding stuff can be stressful, and she has a wedding planner helping her. And I'm very much I don't care. I just want I want the day to be special for you, and I want you as my wife. So whatever you need me to do, and as much of it as you want to plan and not have me make a decision about, rather than that stereotypical honey, it's fine. Yeah, I don't care. Color's great. Yep, love that one. Perfect. Like she just knows that she can just pick it, and my rules were just not everything can be pink, and we're good.
I was basically the same way. I was like, honey, as long as you're the one on the, I'm pretty Gucci if you want to make it black and orange and go Halloween theme. She's like, I would never do that. I was like, I didn't say you would. I didn't say you would though. I didn't say you would.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, that's literally my only rule was like you said, as long as she's the other one there and it's not everything's pink and not different shades of pink too, because I know that would be her excuse. Like, well, it's not all pink. That's, blush and that's pink and that's rose and like, no, that doesn't count. Just like
it does count. It does. You're gonna get into one of those and you're gonna have to remember it does count. Yeah. Everything counts right now.
Yeah, literally. But our moment that we realized that we like our relationship dynamic was like that was after we moved in together. We were talking about Christmas decorations, and I was always the one like I like looking at Christmas decorations, but I hated digging them out of the attic or the loft of the garage and going through them and figuring out what to put where. Like I just didn't like the decorating part. There was one year when I was little where I was obsessed with Christmas lights and covered my room with them. But other than that, like I didn't like that aspect of it. I never enjoyed it. And Sarah loves decorating and again the organizing and all that stuff. So she was like, so when do you want to do Christmas decorations? And I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, for transparency's sake, for the healthiness of our relationship, I hate it. And I love looking at them. I hate doing them. And so I'll probably be in a bad mood. Like I'll do my best, but I'll probably be in a bad mood. And she's like, what, you actually like don't like it? And I'm thinking like, oh shit, she's going to be mad at me. And she goes, that works out perfectly because I really just want to do it all and be in control of it. So if you don't mind like not doing any of it. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like you're giving me an early birthday gift for next year. Like this can actually be my Christmas gift if you want, like me just not having to touch any Christmas decorations. So that was I was like, oh, yep, that's a bonus feature that I didn't think about, but it worked out really well.
Oh no, I totally have to get them down. I have to get them down and I have to put them back up. I gotta lug the boxes. Andrea is our coordinator and a decorator, and she actually last year was really funny. Last year, right after we had the baby, right after we had Ella Claire, we didn't have a tree, we didn't have lights, we didn't have a star. And then one night, her and Ella Claire went to sleep, and like I jumped in the car and I drove to the 24-hour Walmart, and I bought one of those like little rinky-dink like 4-foot tall trees.
Yeah.
And I bought lights and I bought a star and I put it up, and I was like, I'm gonna be like the husband / father of the year. Like she's gonna love me forever. And she woke up and she was like, it's really cute, but it's like missing some stuff. Like there's no, like, I like golds. I like golds. And I was like, this is the greatest, worst gift I've ever been given. Like she was so happy. She didn't complain about a thing for the next like week. But like, by God, that one moment where she's like, I like golds on my tree. Like I like gold beads. I was like, I tried. All right. I tried. I threw my hat in the ring and somebody threw it right back out.
You were several steps ahead of a lot of men. And then still 1 or 2 steps behind where you needed to be.
That's right. I tried so hard. It got so far, but in the end, oh wait, that's Linkin Park.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Whoa. We don't want YouTube copyrights hitting me.
That's right. I'm backing out. I'm backing out now, gracious.
So you have, obviously, we've seen this amazing passion for Gears. You said you played Halo a good amount. Were there any other games that captured you as much as Gears?
Rainbow Six. Even to this day. I finally built a PC so I can play Rainbow Six on PC. Shout outs to Veli for pushing that for like the past year and a half. My duo. But I've played all the Rainbow games on Xbox every single time they came out, and I was really good at that. I really loved Rainbow. I played on a top 12 GB team for about a year and a half, and then we went to the 2-year mark when they came out with Rainbow Six Lockdown.
Okay.
And then we broke up, but that's where the Bastard comes from. We were the Bastards.
Okay.
But that was back in 2005 or so.
So Bastard was a tag, T-Virus was like your name.
Yeah, T-Virus was who I was because I was obsessed with Resident Evil. That's the other game series that I'm obsessed with. But I have all the Tom Clancy novels that involve the Rainbow Six team. I have...
Are there more than one?
There's extended ones where he just kind of put... How do I put this?
Because I read, I think the normal, like the classic one.
It's like his brainchild, but people have made novels where it's like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six
Yeah,
does this,
written
but it's
by
written by
this.
somebody else.
Yeah, I read one of the game franchises that I was obsessed with was Splinter Cell, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Okay. Yeah.
So all of I think there's like 8 or 9 Splinter Cell books, none of them written by Tom Clancy, but like all of them like in coordination.
It's the property.
Yeah.
It's like
so
Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell written by so and so.
it's like he got emailed a copy right before we published it, so we could put his name on it. But
he was like, "Am I getting money for this?" And they were like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right."
slap it on there. But that so like I actually really like Tom Clancy's work. I loved this. It took me a while to read the Rainbow Six book because it starts off so dense. It's so much like, here's every single person's life and backstory.
Exposition.
Yeah, he wants, I guess, like to create that bond with these characters before they start going off and doing their shit. But like, to me, I started reading that when I was in early high school, so I'm like, I don't care about any of this. Like, I don't want to. I want them to
shoot.
Fight somebody. And because that's how the Splinter Cell books were. The Splinter Cell books were like, pretty much the first one was based off the first game, and then after that, it was like, Sam Fisher, he's a badass, and here's what he's doing now. Like, and so like, it was just super easy and cool reads. And once I finally got through those first like maybe like 50 pages, and it took me years. Like, I would read 2 pages and be like, this is fucking boring. All right, on to the next book. And then come back. I'm like, okay, I love Rainbow Six. This is fucking boring, and close it, and on to the next book. So finally I got through it all, and then I started getting to like, the story of it and like what was going on. And I was like, okay, it started building a love for me for Tom Clancy's writing, and then also for the Rainbow Six series.
Yeah. I actually was joking around with somebody the other day on Twitter. Somebody made the comment, somebody was asking what if they made a Rainbow Six movie.
Mm-hmm.
And like, from like the all the exposition that you talk about, I was like, I quote tweeted and was like, I'd only be worried that they wouldn't take it for what it is, which is this beautifully written, like, people from different backgrounds and having these deep, rich stories and having to come together to fend off terrorism.
Yeah.
I'd be afraid they'd just make it Expendables, the Tom Clancy movie.
Literally, yeah.
That's what I would be afraid of. So I was like, as cool as that idea is, I really just hope Hollywood stays away from it for now.
Yeah. It would take like a special director with a special vision to be able to capture something like that novel, or even just a good Rainbow Six story into a 2-hour movie.
Or if they want to do like a mini Rainbow extended universe and make movies about the characters, and then do the super team character movie.
Literally.
There you go. That's the only way to do it.
Well, that's another thing too, and we can talk about that, is why are there not more video game movies? Like, I've been begging for, like, literally just take the story of Halo 1 and give it to me as a movie, because I will watch that on repeat.
I think it's really hard to replicate. So it's I'll use Gears as my example because I know the names right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
As much as I want a Gears of War movie, and I know everybody's like, Dave Bautista would be the perfect Marcus Phoenix. He's the best Marcus Phoenix you could ever find. The first time I hear him open his mouth, even when I play as him on the game, I played as him for like a week, and then I went right back to regular Marcus. The first time John DiMaggio's voice does not come out of Marcus Phoenix, I might die a little inside.
Yeah.
Like, the first time Carlos Ferro doesn't come out of Dom, I might die a little inside. And I think that's one of the things that Hollywood is like a little afraid of, is it's kind of like the same thing with how Star Wars, even after Carrie Fisher passed away, they used CGI and they used her voice to make sure they kept that integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Video game franchises, like, could you imagine anybody else's voice besides who Master Chief is right now in your head? Like, imagine if like he opened his mouth and they had Brock Lesnar's voice come out. Like, yeah, but would be the fear for me.
For Halo, I feel like it'd be easier. I mean, Sergeant Johnson, who, like, where you see his face, like that, like, that would be a little bit more difficult. But getting Master Chief, I mean, you never see his face. It's always in a helmet.
The Arbiter?
So
would you do CGI Arbiter?
You'd have to, yeah.
Oh, come on, man. You don't want a human with like sweet 4 mouths?
No, we're not going to like old school alien movie type costumes and things like that. But like, with the technology where it is, like, I feel like, I mean, Cortana would be easily doable. Master Chief would be easily doable. I mean, like, they can manipulate audio to sound like anything. So,
and if they messed it up, they're going to get fried.
That's true. Thing. That's true. I mean, look at Sonic. Sonic was...
Yeah. Sonic had to like push back 2 years because Sonic was a little too tall and a little too skinny for people.
Yeah, and they had to redo his entire character model and every scene with him. I mean, that's props to them for doing it, but I could see people trying to do a Halo movie and getting crucified for it, or a Gears movie. And
Without a shadow of a doubt, though, if they did a Halo movie, if they didn't do Grunt birthday party in the movie, I would cry. Like, I would need, every time a Grunt died, I'd need head to hear hooray. I'd walk out of the movie and be like, 10 out of 10, would watch again.
They would have to throw that, they'd have to throw that in there somewhere, like maybe in the final scene, like he's walking off and he pops one grunt and it's just the yay.
It's like confetti and everything.
Yeah,
and it just hits the ground.
It would have to, or like he has a kid or something, and at the birthday party it's a grunt pinata or something. Yeah, something. They'd have to
They would have to throw us a bone.
Some homage to it. But there was Doom with The Rock. Which I actually
got flamed.
It got flamed, and I really liked it. I thought it was. I mean, it was a decent action movie, and I don't know. I thought it was cool.
I think so. Like when I watched Doom, and all right. So like small tangent. My triumvirate of games is like Rainbow, Resident Evil, and Gears. Like those are the 3 series I'll never forget or forgive for changing my life. With Resident Evil, the movies don't follow the storylines of the books or the games. And when I watch them, I see things that I know are in the games. And I did this with the Doom movie. I was like, it says it's Resident Evil, but I just went in imagining it was called Biohazard, even though that's what Resident Evil's called over in Japan.
Yeah.
I was like, it's Biohazard 001. And I was like, man, this movie was good. And everybody was like, man, Resident Evil 1 movie was shite. And when I saw Doom and it got flamed, I didn't imagine it as Doomed. I imagined it as The Rock faces alien villain. I was like, let's go. And I'd watch Dwayne Johnson read a phone book. So
yeah, literally.
It worked out in all parties.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't invested enough into the Doom universe, and I'm still not. I love the game, but I'm not like into it like I am with Halo. So I could definitely see where people who are like diehard Doom fans were probably disappointed by not seeing different things in it. But for me, like I think they did that first person sequence, which was kind of ambitious to make it feel like the game a little bit, and I don't know. I just thought it was a pretty solid action alien horror movie or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I just feel like now they can do so much more with video game movies, and there's so many amazing stories in the video game universe that I would happily pay good money to go watch in a theater.
I'd be too, like, I'm not gonna lie, if I was a high paid to scared of it like tanking or getting flamed for eternity.
Yeah,
I'd be like, people are too particular about. And I mean, like, people, when they love something as much as we love certain games or certain things, it's like somebody comes along and messes that up, and you just want to beat them over the head with a frying pan.
Yeah, but
grease is still in it and stuff.
But at the same time, look at superhero movies. I mean, we've had 4 different Batmans, 3 going on 4 or 4 going on 5 different Batmans. We've had
only one of them got flamed too.
We've had 3 Spider-Mans. Like, they're doing it with they're getting away with it in other, I guess, like another genre where they're taking comic books and making them movies. So is it because like the comic books don't have the voices? But
I think that's what it is, because I think your brain, it's got to be something with voices. I really do, like, I can't get my head wrapped around the idea that somebody else's voice would come out of somebody I love and have seen before.
Yeah,
because like I could read Captain America comics for all day, but now, like, I hate to say it, like, I'm pretty screwed when it comes to if they ever make a new Captain America movie, because I'm gonna be like, why aren't you Chris Evans?
Yeah,
thanks for putting a face and a voice with my Captain America. Just like, it's going to be a long while before they ever do another Iron Man. Because if it's not Robert Downey Jr., people our age are going to be like, how dare you stand where he stood?
Yeah, like that. You don't fill those shoes. No, he is Iron Man. Like,
deal with it.
Screw every other movie he's done, which he's done a lot of amazing movies. He's Iron Man, and nobody can take that away.
So, but like Spider-Man, they keep Tom Holland's done a fantastic job. Tobey Maguire was all right. Andrew Garfield was in. But like, people like that, nobody with Spider-Man stuck.
Yeah.
Like nobody, and I think, like, I hate to say it, I know a lot of people, I know he's not like the be all end all for people, but I think Christian Bale was like as close as we're gonna get to a perfect Bruce Wayne Batman.
Yeah. I really like I remember watching, we had the VHS tape of
Michael Keaton.
No, the Batman where he was where it was George Clooney and it had like Iceman.
Oh, Batman and Robin. Batman
Yeah,
and Robin.
and it had Poison Ivy, and
Yep.
I don't know if that was the start of Bane, that like monster thing that she had.
Yeah, Bane, where she puts the venom in him and she'd hit the button and he'd be all Super Hulk.
Yeah. So like we had that movie on VHS, and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. I said Iceman, Mr. Freeze.
It's all right.
But like like watching that Batman with George Clooney, even though he has like the suave and everything, like he just it didn't stick as much as watching like a Christian Bale or who did Dark Knight.
Christian Bale. Bale was he was Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, yeah. Bale. So it's like he didn't have that same like, I don't know. It almost got like a shade darker, like heavier and I don't know. I just it seemed more. Batman.
Are you excited for Robert Pattinson to be your next Batman?
Put
like, you on the hot seat.
I got so indifferent to superhero movies because I felt like every movie coming out, like the movie stopped getting creative, and it was just like, hey, Iron Man's working, let's pump out 3 more, let's go into the Avengers universe. Like every movie commercial I saw was a new superhero. It was Aquaman, or it was Black Widow, or it was Spider-Man, or it was Avengers 16, or like whatever it was. And so I got like burnt out on superhero movies. So I mean, I'm obviously going to watch the new Batman. I loved The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. So like those are going to hold like and I think I loved them because I loved The Dark Knight because of Joker. Like Heath Ledger and the Joker in that movie, just there's no comparison to what he did.
You just don't talk. You just nod your head, say it was great, move on with life.
Yeah, literally. And I haven't watched the movie that came out recently. I'm drawing a blank on the name. That was about the Joker. Was it called the Joker?
Joker. It's called Joker.
It was just called Joker. So I haven't watched that movie
Phoenix
yet. Yeah,
you should.
I heard he did an amazing job.
It's very, and I'm since I'm a silly country boy and like a lot of high-end meta psychological stuff gets by me. Mm-hmm. Watching that movie was really cool to me because I just was like, this is deep. Like, this is deep.
Yeah. And I remember
he's won a bunch of awards for it already.
And I remember when Dark Knight came out, Heath Ledger talked about how he would go to insane asylums and study the patients there to learn their mannerisms and their behavior and try to incorporate that into his role. And then like there would be stints of time, I might be getting this wrong, but I believe there'd be like stints of time where he just wouldn't leave, like he was the Joker, like on set, off set.
Like method acting and like regular acting, or how, I don't even know the other term for it, but when you're method and you go to that place, that they say a lot of people get lost in their characters.
Yeah. And I'm always wondered if that was something that like kind of pushed him over an edge somewhere, because I mean that's hard to do. I mean, just seeing like there's like a creepiness to like seeing people who actually are in asylums like that and have those issues and those difficulties and all of that going on for them. I mean, I can't imagine going there and studying it for an acting role and trying to mimic it.
You hear the exact opposite though from like the Joaquin Phoenix movie. A lot of them say that like as soon as they yelled cut, he was just back to laughing, joking, and like being Joaquin Phoenix, being like snarky and stuff. And I was like, because he's not I don't believe he's a method actor, but he literally like had made it a point in 2 or 3 interviews to say that he stayed away from like being too much involved in the role. Like he had his say in it and he acted it out and he did a beautiful job with like a character study and a case study. But it was like, as soon as they yelled cut, when it was not time for him to be in the role, he went right back to being normal, everyday human Joe Blow.
Yeah, I think a role like that, it's important, right? You got
to keep some semblance of like groundedness. I think you can't go to that place and stay there.
No, there's no way. I mean, I think it would actually drive you mad to be mimicking a madman like to that extreme for so long. So props to him. And I definitely want to see that movie. It should be coming out. I mean, I'm sure it's on the internet, but legally it should be coming out like anytime, right?
You can get it on digital right.
Oh, can you? Okay.
On digital and iTunes. That's a plug. Quick plug.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list of like movies that I want to see. It was one that like I didn't want to go see it in the theaters because I heard so many mixed things about it. And theaters are so expensive for absolutely no reason. But I definitely like want to experience that because I have a psychology degree, so like those kind of like nuances like I pick up on and I appreciate. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting.
That's you'll love that. I honestly believe.
Say that again.
10 out of 10, highly recommend.
Yeah. So going back to gaming, we talked about the other games. You said Resident Evil. What got you started in Resident Evil? Because that's a fan favorite all over the world.
1998, when they came out with Resident Evil 1, I was 10 years old, and my brother, I couldn't play the game. My mom was one of those moms that was like, it's got that rating, you can't play the game.
Yeah.
But she had no problem with me sitting in there watching it. Like, it was really weird how the thought process went.
Parents didn't understand those ratings very well. I don't think any parent ever nailed it.
It's fine. Yeah. It worked out well for me because the way that like my house was set up, by the house I grew up in was set up in the playroom where we had all of our video game stuff. There was these like 2 couches that made like an L shape, but they were off the wall. So there was like little hallways around them. And then there was a bunch of other stuff and desks and lamps and everything in there.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be a 3-car garage. That's how big it was.
Oh, wow.
But my dad and mom converted it into a playroom for us when my brother was born and then when I was born. And it was huge, but my brother was playing through the game and he always had the lights off and he had that really dark, creepy ambiance. He's 4.5 years older than me. He was 14, almost 15 at the time.
Okay.
And he set this really dark, creepy ambiance. And I was at the time, and I ended up being one anyway, was a theater kid.
Yeah.
I really was like an imaginatory. I was in all the school plays as a young kid and stuff. You let my imagination run wild. And I wanted to be a STARS member. And I remember I had a little cap gun and I would hide around the corner and I would watch my brother play for like 30 minutes. And then when he would take because we had like a 30-minute break time limit set on us by our mom at that point.
Okay.
Like we could only play games for like 30 minutes at a time. And then we'd have to take a break to get a drink of water or get something to eat or come in and see them.
Yeah.
But like my brother would play for 30 minutes and I would just watch and just absorb as much as I could. Then I'd be in the playroom and I'd act it out like I was Colin, Clarke, the other member of the STARS Alpha team that was with Chris and Jill and Barry and Wesker. And I became like oddly obsessed with wanting to be a cop and be a part of that world, which is why I have the degree I have.
Which is criminal justice?
Criminal justice. Master's in criminal justice with my specialty being counterterrorism.
Damn. No wonder you love Rainbow Six.
Yeah, isn't it? But that was what started my love for, law enforcement and all, and that side of the world. God, I don't even use that degree and it hurts me to think about. So like I used to act it out and play along and wanted to be a part of it. And then Resident Evil 2 came out and I was like old enough to play it in my mom's eyes. And like I played it into the ground. It had the 2 discs. It was on the PlayStation 2. And when you beat one story, you could play through as like a side, well, not a side, but like a re-envisioned campaign as the other character. I played all the campaign parts. I played the special games that came with beating it on the hardest difficulties and stuff. And I was obsessed with it. And then I heard that they had books and I went down the same rabbit hole that I did. Like later, it became Gears of War. As I got older, the Resident Evil games stopped coming out for a long period after Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So like Gears took over that kind of hole in my heart that was like, damn, I need something that I can love and obsess over, which sounds really terrible. It sounds oh my God, I'm a psychiatric case. So like I had Resident Evil for the longest and I bought all the books that went along with it so I could read the extended universes with it. So it's like, and nowadays, like right now on my stream, I either play Gears with some of my buddies, or I'm replaying the Resident Evil campaigns and doing those as uploads because I just love them.
Yeah,
doesn't bother me one bit. I know the game's changed over time. Actually, you'll get a kick out of this. I was so obsessed with those 2 game franchises that when the Xbox 360 was out, when we were still in the 360s. When Gears 3 did its special edition Lambent 360 with the chainsaw noise when you hit the button, I bought that. I had it. That was my special edition that came with the statue and the Xbox and all that good stuff. I actually pulled out of the GameStop parking lot playing the Body Count song that they made for Gears of War, like blasting it through my 26-inch speakers in the back of my white Chevy Silverado that everybody nicknamed the Millennium Falcon because it only worked when I needed it to work. But I've had that, And then when Resident Evil 5 came out, and its special edition was a red Resident Evil 5 Xbox 360, well, by God, you better just hold on to your britches. I had one of those.
You had to have it.
I had two Xbox 360s, and I only really needed one of them because, yeah, there's no. What would be the point of the second one? Like I had the second one came in handy because whenever a friend came over to play, I already had a second one. We just hook him into the router.
Yeah.
So like it came in handy for that, but like when nobody was around, it was me staring at two different Xbox 360s. Like, I'm an idiot. I spend money on useless stuff because I love it. That's fine.
Which one will I use today? The Gears edition or the Rainbow?
It depended on what game I was playing.
Rainbow, Resident Evil. Yeah, there you go. You theme it.
Immersive. I had to get immersive with it.
And so, the Resident Evil, we're on what? What was the most recent Resident Evil?
Resident Evil 7 was the one that was like the re-envisioned. It went back to the original, like heavy horror, slowed down, methodical game. 4, 5, 6, and then the Revelations 1 and 2 were very fast-paced, very quick-time oriented. Like you get into quick-time sequences and have to press this button and this button. So 7 went back to a very dark, very gritty, like beautifully done horror storyline, and I really enjoyed that. So there's
I watched a few playthroughs of that one. It was entertaining to watch.
Let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Revelations 1 and 2, 7, Umbrella Chronicles, Dark Side Chronicles. I think there's 12 altogether.
Wow.
12 games altogether.
I had no idea.
I've got all. If I go open up my mom's house, I've got all 12 of them in there, but now I've got digital copies.
Yeah. Did you ever
I actually bought a Wii for 2 of those games.
Did you really?
Yeah, I went out. I didn't have a Wii before that, and when Umbrella Chronicles came out, and it was like Nintendo Wii exclusive, I was like, damn it! So I had to go buy a Wii, and then I was dumb enough, because I spend money on things that I'm passionate about. I bought the Wii Super Scope, because it was one of those like arcade shooter games where it was like the Dino Crisis games where you could aim at the screen and your crosshair would just be out. It was one of those. And I was like, I went out and bought all that for 2 video games, and I didn't play the Wii after that.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine had a Wii that we played Super Smash on, so I didn't even buy a copy of Smash.
That's pretty much how everyone experienced the Wii. They bought it for like 1 or 2 games, like bowling, and then
that's right, baby.
That was it. It collected dust. Did you ever get into Silent Hill?
No, because I looked at Silent. How do I put this? This is going to sound terrible. I looked at Silent Hill like it was trying to move in on my Resident Evil territory, and I was like, "Screw you guys."
See, Silent Hill, I didn't. There was like that genre of games. Didn't really start getting me until I was older. Like the horror kind of horror games, like not as like scary as like what's on Steam now, but like Silent Hill, Resident Evil. I didn't really start appreciating those games until later, and I haven't played a lot of them myself, but I did a lot of I watched a ton of playthroughs on YouTube, and I love the Silent Hill movie, or movies, I guess. But I remember maybe about a year ago now, they released that playable demo or playable trailer for a new Silent Hill game that ended up getting canceled.
Where you were stuck in like a building.
It was like a loop, and you were going through the same hallway and then into the front foyer of a house.
Did you play that?
I didn't play it, but I watched people play through it. It was so creepy. It got me so excited.
I almost pissed myself playing it.
Did you?
That was the only because I love horror stuff and like that. And I was playing through it, and there's one jump scare in it where it's like the second time or the third pass of it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the doors that you just get used to going into, when you open it, there was like a jump scare right behind you because you hear the noise in your character. Like if you turn around, it happens.
Yeah.
So I turned around expecting nothing to be there because I've been in the door enough. And when the jump scare happened, I literally I was like, thank God I ain't drank no water today. My God.
I think there's something special about games that can capture you like that. Like, there's the people who can watch horror movies and be like, oh, that's not scary or whatever. Like there's kind of like almost defense mechanisms for being scared. But I think like horror is one of my favorite genres, and it's because like I can sit there and I try to immerse myself into it and get connected to it, and then actually feel scared by it. It's why one of my favorite horror movie series is The Grudge, because it's not just jump scare after jump scare. It's creepy, gives you goosebumps. It
tries to get you up in here.
Yeah, and I love that about that movie series. So when I saw that playable demo, I'm like, holy shit, this game is going to be phenomenal. and then it got canceled, I think.
And then it got what's the word for it that they used in the internet? It was like Ghost Game or what? It just disappears.
Yeah. And another game I wish I'd gotten into when I was younger was do you know Silent Frame? I think it's called Silent Frame. It might not be said. I'll have to look it up. But it was like it was a Fatal Frame. Sorry, I said Silent because we were talking about Silent Hill. It's called Fatal Frame, and it was a long series, kind of like Resident Evil, and it was about like typically like a photographer, I think, and you were like in these abandoned horror places solving these puzzles and these stories. But like you would use your camera and then you would see the demons or the ghosts or whatever it was. I remember watching a bunch of videos about Fatal Frame and just being like, holy shit, like that. If the graphics weren't so bad and I could go back and play it, like, and get invested into it, my God, that would be a scary game.
Might give it a whirl.
Yeah, but
no, I didn't. It's not something like it was. I got attached to Resident Evil for the desire to be a part of that Stars Alpha team as a 10-year-old.
Yeah,
and it's something that I would love to touch on because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, just in general. Because I know a lot of people, I think, have a hard time doing it nowadays. Part of something I do with just about everything in life, and I think it's why I end up loving the universes so much. Like I love the Resident Evil universe. I love the Gears universe. So I just obsess over them.
Yeah.
Love the Rainbow universe, so on and so forth. Is because, and I think it helped me being a theater kid, was I was able to, I let myself love something enough that I put myself into it.
Yeah.
When I used to play Horde on Gears 2, I used to Bobby used to laugh at me, but like there was the group of kids that I played with, and they always used to kind of chuckle at it too. When we'd play Horde on Gears 2, they'd be like, man, like even when it's hopeless, like you're running away, trying to get to the next fight, like you're trying to stay out of fights that are unwinnable, and you're trying to live so that we keep going forward. And I was like, man, I just always put myself in the shoes of like, I never wanted to die. Like I was actually in a war with these locusts. And I think that's something that always like allowed me to really be super passionate about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I use it now. It's a trick I use during my cast. When I see somebody make a big play, a big time play, and people hear me lose my mind.
Yeah.
Because I open myself up to try to envision how that player must feel about that specific play, even if it's an everyday play for somebody.
Yeah.
Even if it's like how Billy is, where Billy just doesn't seem, he seems like he has no barometer. He just doesn't go up or down.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were any other player on the planet, you'd probably shit yourself right now because you're just that excited over how great that play was. So I'm going to try to give you that energy because I want. And do you think people have a problem opening themselves up like that? It's almost like people are too defensive nowadays. Like they don't want to open those walls.
I think it's become cool to be like, yeah, fuck it. You know, like more like laid back and like
no
not
wonder
caring.
I'm not cool. Son of a bitch.
Well, I think that's like I don't know if I want to say a pop culture thing, but that just seems to be a thing that's cool now. I mean, like almost like there was like a phase, and we might still be in it, where it was like cool to not be like intelligent. You know what I mean? Like where it was like the cool kids like didn't really care about school, and they didn't care about, you know, like they had bad grammar and like they didn't care. Like I feel like we experience a phase where, especially in the Gears community, where it's cool to like not really care, and there's a little bit of ego involved, where it's like, that play, I could have done that, like, or I've 1v1 Billy in a pub before and beat him, which is probably not true, but like, you know, like I've done
because he doesn't play pubs.
Because he doesn't play pubs. Because he doesn't play pubs. But like I've beat that kid before. I don't want to go stay in the venue and watch. You know, you look at San Diego. And compare it to like a Mexico event, right? Like in Mexico, there's flocks of people who are there not competing, just fans, right? I mean, we have 2,000 people at a Mexico event. And you look at San Diego, where California is known for being kind of a hot spot for Gears, and especially that area. And you even half the open bracket teams don't stay on the last day and watch the matches. They're off. They've either gone home if they were driving distance, or they're scrimming looking for a new team, or they go do something else in San Diego rather than stay and appreciate the tournament and the people who are in the finals. And it's such a weird cultural thing almost like a phenomena that we're seeing where it's just like that's become a normal or a norm looking comparatively to other esports where it's like, yeah, I lost, but I really want to watch, I really want to watch the top Apex team play. Like if I got eliminated yesterday, I still want to watch these guys play. Like either I'm friends with them and I want to support them, or they're the best team in the world and I know that and I really want to watch how they do and try to learn something, or whatever the case may be. It just seems like it's a different culture in our game compared to other games, and it's odd to me.
It's almost like as much as we talk about having like our community and our game is based around so much like pride, like being proud of beating somebody in a 1v1, being proud of your like that open bracket field where you just jump over the monitor and that pride like overflowing.
Yeah.
I think it's the other edge of that sword. Like the sword itself is double-edged because the pride works for you because it pushes you to be the best and to compete as hard as you can. But on the other edge of it, your pride doesn't allow you to just suck it up, come back and support everybody else, because at the end of the day, we don't support each other and we ain't got nobody.
Yeah. I think another thing that I've noticed, and I think San Diego gave me a really good perspective on this because it was the first time in a long time where we weren't in the grand finals. And it was interesting. I came back to the venue. The loss didn't feel like a loss. And like the last time we lost in Vegas, like I was bitter. I went to the hotel room. I cried and talked to Icy for a long time. And then I came back at one point because Gilbert got a technical. So I had to talk to the referees and figure out what that punishment was going to be. But he threw a chair. And so
like Bobby Knight threw a chair?
No, like when he stood up, he like hit it really hard and it flew back and hit the railing. But anyway, so like but I didn't stay and really watch. I watched it from my hotel room on stream because I was bitter and I was pissed and I was upset and childish or whatever. But in San Diego, I actually went back to the venue and watched for a little bit, and then ended up I was hungry and I had a meeting I had to go to with Scuff, so I went and did other things. And being able to go back to the venue and watch, one thing I noticed is that I feel like the suspense isn't as prevalent in Gears 5 as it used to be watching older Gears games, or watching League of Legends, or watching Rainbow Six, or watching some of these other games. And I'm not sure why that is.
I hate to disagree with you, but I thought the grand finals, like, and don't take this the wrong way because you were on the winning end of a lot of these grand finals. The suspense in grand finals to me was at an all-time high for the past probably year and a half. Like the other most suspenseful grand finals to me was when y'all were playing against Echo Fox in New Orleans and they won they were the first team to ever win 7 rounds in a row against y'all. Like there was this glimmer of hope, this suspense of, will the Titans get knocked off by this ragtag group with a rookie on it? And in San Diego, it was like, these are our Titans. Like these, not our Titans, but these are like kind of yeah, I'd call them Titans. They've all got multiple championships. Like these are our stalwarts of Gears franchise, and Kenny and Icy. Rushy's won a championship. Powers is going for his first. But they're playing a team of just fast, passionate, like coming to kick the door in, ready to become the kings of all we know from Latin America, Straw. And there were some moments in those maps where it was like, outside of like training grounds, on Exhibit, on Asylum, it was like, oh my God, are they going to pull this off? Are they going to do it? Are we going to have it? So I think the grand finals, to me, the grand finals was super suspenseful. I think the least suspenseful game I saw on Sunday was probably Reciprocity and Our Damage.
Yeah.
Not Our Damage, Regal Reserve.
Yeah. Well, so I don't mean to take
Unless
away.
I'm misinterpreting what you mean by suspenseful.
No,
let me phrase that.
I definitely agree with you. I think that finals was a really entertaining grand finals.
Okay.
It sucks that we weren't in it, but like I can appreciate how entertaining it was, because again, it was Estral, who, I don't think anybody predicted being in the grand finals or even maybe top 4. I mean, they weren't even considered the number 1 team in Mexico. Ghost was still kind of considered that.
They were Ryan's dark horse.
Yeah. And so, them being where they were and playing as well as they did and starting off 2-0 against Reciprocity, who after, we got eliminated, everyone's like, all right, well, Rec beat Mazer, Rec's going to win this tournament. That was definitely like entertaining. It was an entertaining finals to watch for that factor. But I think more what I mean is specifically in game, like I think that When I watch Rainbow Six, there's almost like the slow setup phase where like everybody's kind of getting prepared. The defenders are figuring out their defenses. The attackers are kind of analyzing and doing the cameras and their strategy. And then there's like you start to see them make their approach. Here's how it's looking like they're going to break into this bomb site or how they're going to attack or whatever. Same thing for Counter-Strike, right? Everyone goes to their positions and you start to see a strategy form. And then there's the suspense of when that first shot is going to be fired of the round. For League of Legends, a lot of people say it's too slow and boring, but like when I watch it, I see this slow suspense of like, all right, who's going to make the first mistake? Like everybody is so damn good. Who's going to make the first slip up that's going to start this snowball?
That's the same thing in Dota where it's like the farming stage. A lot of people hate just to watch the farm after farm after farm, but it's like, all right, here comes the Aegis.
Yeah, and it's not like it's boring. It's just everyone's playing so perfectly that they're not leaving any like holes in their game for somebody to make like a play to get a kill until they do, and then that's when it just starts to pop off, and it feels like it keeps going from there. So like everybody's like, when I watch because I love League, I'm on edge waiting for it. And I feel like I do love Gears, and I don't feel like I'm on edge as a spectator as much as I would have been watching Gears of War 2 or Gears of War, like remembering back to when I was just watching like Frag D play Infinity, back in Gears of War 1, and like being on, everyone goes their spots and I'm on edge, like waiting for that first kill on War Machine, and then there it is, and then it breaks loose, and you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean more.
I look at it the way that I was telling I was sitting out in the audience talking to one of the spectators, and he asked me how I view escalation, because I think he's an older fan, so he likes execution, he loves execution, so on and so forth. He said, how do you view escalation? And I think the best metaphor I've ever had for escalation is I kind of look at it like, and suspense almost isn't our thing unless you look at it from this perspective, because this is how I kind of view it. I look at our game as a heartbeat monitor.
Okay.
You know how a heartbeat looks at spikes and it goes down, spikes, goes down, spikes, goes down? Like for every beat of your heart, it's like beep. And there's a flat line and it's a beep again.
Yeah.
We are the beeps. Escalation to me is the beeps, because you come out of spawn, big initial fight way up here, a lot of action, who's going to get control, and then all of a sudden one team wins that first initial fight, they got to back off, the other team's got to back off, figure the shit out, and kind of come back. Depending upon the second fight, you can either get a spike just as high as the first, or you get this little mediocre spike where somebody pushes too early or misthrows a flash or something goes wrong and they just bang, they're over. So a little spike. And then there's usually a little down, a little lull moment where this team says, all right, we got one more shot at this. We either wipe them and trip cap or shit the bed and we got to go to round 2, baby.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always viewed escalation. I think even in Gears 4, I always viewed it as kind of that heart rate monitor, because I don't think we're not this game to kind of, or the game mode itself doesn't slowly incline to that climax and then have that big, nice long period of this is what's happening, and then the fall off where everybody's like, oh, we won the round, thank God.
Yeah.
Ours is kind of like in a microcosm. That's why I like to use boxing references so much, because I also view escalation as like a 5-round boxing match. We got 5 microcosms. Each round is like a round in boxing. You're going to come out. You're going to use your jab to try to keep your opponent a little bit of distance. They might try to inbox you, get close. So you hit them with a little 2-piece and a biscuit, get that uppercut. There's the haymaker. The round's over. They've been knocked out. They're at a standing 8 count. They're down 4-0. They got to figure out what the hell to do to come back 5 rounds in a row.
Yeah.
So I don't think our game is built for that type of suspense. Our game is built more for a quick, satisfactory hype fight. It's like, oh, here's your action. Oh, here's your action. Oh, here's your action.
Yeah.
Not a lot like a boxing match.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
A UFC fight that doesn't really go to the mat.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. I'll have to try to watch back some some replays or something to try to get that perspective, because I can definitely see what you mean. And I think
y'all versus Mazer had a lot of good, like, don't take it the wrong way, had a lot of good moments for that type of breakdown to me, because we know what your guys are capable of. So every time y'all tried to make a push to get the map back, it was a great little fight. It was, oh my God, are they going to do this? And somebody might pull something off or pull something out of their ass, make it happen. Or you got that instance where 2 of your guys got caught on that outer wall at the second half home hills, and it's like, oh shit, that haymaker didn't work. Now it's over.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's how I've always viewed escalation, is I view it as these microcosm fights.
Interesting.
I I think to make it more of an all-out war, I think you'd have to make the maps smaller, but not like exhibit small.
Well, I don't think I want it to be an all-out war. I mean, I think it's in a decent place. I was just kind of curious, and that kind of like tied into what I talked to you about as like one of the points of, you know, seeing the Gears landscape change over the years.
My bad.
No. I think it's a. I mean, I'm also running low on time, so I think it's a good place to kind of end it. But I was just kind of curious to see your thoughts, because you obviously have a very different perspective, and your job is to make every moment feel like every exciting moment feel even more exciting, and you do an amazing job at it. So I was curious to see or hear your perspective on how, you know, as somebody who's been around Gears for so long, how you picture it. And I think that's a really interesting and good way to look at it that I might need to start and kind of incorporating into when I'm just a spectator. So I like that.
And don't and something else that happens to a lot of pros when they watch Gears. I warn every pro that I've ever watched a match with or talked to during a match. Don't break it down.
Don't nitpick.
Don't get in your head about what the hell that person's actually doing. Just watch it for the fight.
Yeah.
Look at it as, instead of looking at it as, oh, Icy misrolled and he got chunked for it. Look at it as, my God, I'm watching Icy fight Summons. Boom, all of a sudden, Summons makes a quick move on him. Icy doesn't know what he's doing now. Icy's on his back foot. Boom, there he goes. He hits that one shot as Summons pulls up on him. Now Summons is dead. Summons had the upper hand the whole time. How did he lose it? How did he drop it?
Yeah.
Icy hit one good shot, chunks him. You got to look at it from not what somebody does right or wrong in the moment. You can analyze it all you want after the moment's over with, but in that moment, just take for granted how great and how high level the caliber of player is, and just be in awe of what they're capable of doing in these split-second moments, time after time.
That's something I definitely need to get better at for my own enjoyment. Unfortunately, I have to call it a close because I do have practice getting ready to start, or starting a little bit ago. But thank you, Colin, so much for joining me on this episode of the Ashcast. Is there any shout-outs or anything you want to do before we close?
I just want to shout you out. Like always, it's always my pleasure to take up your time, take all the time that you're willing to give me, sit here, chop it up, talk about life, love, the pursuit of happiness, and
definitely
Gears and whatever else may come our way. But it's always my pleasure to get to sit and chat with you and really be a part of things that you get to do, because you're one of the special ones in our community. You care enough to put your neck out on the line for other people, and you don't give a damn who thinks you're wrong. You just want it to be in the best place possible.
Thank you.
And you always do it from a good spot. And no matter what, it's like I said the other day on Twitter, I said your content is overlooked by leaps and bounds, because it's hilarious that a lot of people just go with, here's my fight, here's my montage, here's my fight, here's my round. And you're like, you know what, God damn it, I'm a coach. Let me impress me. All right, now let me watch this VOD and break down what your team did wrong. You've attacked it from several different angles, which a lot of people don't appreciate the way they should. And I think it should be appreciated in a much higher fashion. You do a lot for the community, and I thank you each and every day, because it's a community that I love, and I love being a part of.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. Guys, anything Colin related, Twitter and YouTube and stream will all be in the description of this video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you again, Colin, for joining me on this. We'll definitely have to have you back, because I'm sure we could talk for hours. So if you guys enjoyed, like it, subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube, and I will see you all in the next episode of the Ashcast Online.